And for me, in my whole career, the only time I've dealt with that kind of scrutiny in my whole career, aside from battle rap, was the Joe Budden situation with Wu-Tang on Rock the Bells. That was the only time I've ever dealt with something like that.
How did you find yourself in that space? We were literally in the same venue, and we were nowhere near Joe Budden at the time. How did you end up?
Yo, all right, so
I'm getting me a drink on this one. I'm getting another drink.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Because like a lot of people want this story out of me, and I feel like y'all family, so I give y'all this story.
But you gotta wait till Naledge comes back because he just went and disappeared. We gotta wait for all that shit.
He went and got that drinky drink.
But it's so fine. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you a Joe Budden story. The funniest, the only interaction, maybe outside of even when you guys, because it was whenever that was happening was like before I ever got put on. I was in LA before I moved back to New York and trying to just figure shit out, trying to figure out the industry. And through sidekicks is basically how I got connected in the industry.
Right.
And Just Blaze and I had a relationship. And so I had an event during BET Awards that I somehow convinced him to come and DJ real quick. And then Joe Budden just appeared in just a wife beater, as he did back then in the era. And we were just at, I want to say, the Henry Fonda Theater in LA. And just as DJing, and I just walk over and I just hand Joe Budden a microphone. And I'm just like, he was not there to perform. He was not there to do anything. Right. But I was just like, do pump it up. And I was wildin'. I don't even know what the fuck I was even thinking at the time. But it was just kind of like, you see Just Blaze on stage, you know what time it is.
Right.
And I think he did maybe like half the first verse or something like that.
That song.
And then just walked off. Yeah. I mean, it's a hard thing when you create these records that become so big that they just change what you thought you were going to be in the music industry. And sometimes it takes, and I think what he had to do was destroy literally Joe Budden, to become the iteration that he is now, the iteration that he was with Slaughterhouse and with Mood Music. You almost have to kill that shit, even if it's, it's going to be successful. You can't live like that.
Right.
But now Naledge is back, so we need that story. Rock the Bells.
Rock the Bells, man. So
2008?
2009. You guys were on the same. Y'all were on it with me too, right?
Yeah, I just don't remember which year it was.
Yeah, we were.
It was 8 or 9. It was 08 or 09.
I think y'all did 8. I think y'all did 9.
Yeah, we did 2 shows in 9. We did like Chicago and I think New York. But in 2008, we were on the whole thing.
Okay, so y'all did the New York show. So the New York show is when it all started.
Yeah.
It started with, Joe had said some things about Method Man. And he said these things on the radio. He said these things on his podcast and something, and then it went viral in the hip hop world. And they approached Joe in New York, but before that, I think we were in DC, and me and Joe did a live, and I think he had said something about Inspector Deck or something like that. And that video was what caused Raekwon to run up in the dressing room. Yeah. But before that, Joe met with Method Man in New York City, and they squashed it. So everything was squashed. Apparently, Raekwon didn't see that video. So I had just flew from Japan to do this Rock the Bell show in LA. So I flew from Japan to LA. I get in town. I just did the Honda commercial. The Honda commercial's still out, whatever. So Honda's at the show. All of the representatives for Honda's at the show. I kill the show. Kill it.
That's crazy.
I get off stage. When I get off stage, I speak to the Honda reps. I see where Joe Budden's trailer is at. That day, it was like 102 degrees. It was so hot.
Yeah.
Raekwon and his peoples, and shout out to Raekwon. You know, me and Raekwon, we speak now. It's all good. Raekwon is with his peoples, and they just outside of Joe Budden's. They outside of his trailer. I dap everybody up. I dap all of them up, and it's like I said, it's blazing hot in LA. And I go into Joe Budden's trailer where the AC is at. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy. I'm very appreciative. And at this time, Joe Budden is doing Joe Budden TV, and that has a very big network for him.
He was always ahead of the curve when it came to this media shit.
Always ahead of the curve. So you know, I'm in this room, and you know he's somewhere else, and I'm sitting there talking to the fans. I'm intrigued by this. You know, I'm like, whoa, like I'm on live with all of these fans. It's so many fans on this live, and I'm just talking to them all. And then Raekwon, you know, comes into the room with like 4 or 5 guys. These guys are big. These guys are huge. And I dap everybody up. And same thing, like I did. So before.
They come in right after you.
They come in maybe like 5-10 minutes after me.
But they were waiting outside the whole time.
Yes, because at the time there's like a runner, right? There was There's a runner that would go back and forth to make sure everything is good. So once that runner left Joe Budden's room, they came in the room. And when they came in the room, it was love. Like they dapped everybody in the room, bro. Like, so when they came in, they dapped me up, da, 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 da. And I just turned back around to the computer. And I'm like looking at the computer. I'm like, you know, and then once the door closes, that's when it gets dark. It gets dark. And they start questioning, Raekwon starts questioning Joe about his comments, you know, that he was making about Inspector Deck and Method Man. Mm. And, you know, Joe, and mind you, we're a week from the apology that Joe gave to Method Man. So it's essentially squashed.
Yeah.
But Raekwon and his peoples don't know that it's squashed. That is the main issue. They didn't know that it's squashed. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the computer and I turn around when I hear that it's like an issue. So I'm watching what's happening. So we're both trying to explain to Raekwon and his peoples that, you know, Joe squashed it already. Raekwon is not trying to hear that. So then he's like, all right, if it's squashed, pull up the video. So I turn back around because I'm the one that's next to the computer. And when I turn back around to pull up the video, I accidentally knock out the dial-up because there's no such thing as Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as Wi-Fi.
Especially in those trailers.
In those trailers, there was no Wi-Fi. There's no such thing as an iPhone with WorldStar where you can pull it up. Yeah. So I'm frantically trying to pull up the site where everything is squashed, but I can't because I didn't realize that the plug was knocked out. So Joe is now trying to have a conversation with Ray about what's happening, and I guess I don't know what was said. Something was said, and mind you, I'm trying to pull up this footage, and all I hear is a punch, right? But I didn't think it was a punch when I heard it. I just thought something fell, and I heard a ah. I didn't even turn around. I'm just trying to find, and people think that I was scared or something. It wasn't that I was scared. It was like I'm trying to pull up the footage and it wasn't working. And I didn't understand. Again, I wasn't that computer literate to know that it was an Ethernet cord that wasn't plugged in.
Yeah.
So when I turned around, I saw that he had got hit. And by that point, it was like, all right. Once I saw that he got hit, after I was already, like, it was maybe like, I want to say 10 seconds before I finally turned around. When I finally turned around, I was like, oh shit, he got hit. And then I stayed facing that scenario.
Yeah.
And then, it just turned into.
Yeah, I think that is like a really important, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this knowledge, but I think that was a really important transitional moment to happen, because I'm sure everybody's good now, but I think there was like this, like you said, like there's this conversation that happens on the internet that becomes real life that then, right. But wait a minute, but the internet could have squashed it, but it didn't happen fast enough. Now everybody's super cool, and that shit would have gone through these paces in a way where that wouldn't have happened. But those situations, unfortunately, needed to occur.
Right. I got blamed. People were angry at me for not helping Joe Budden when he got hit. Mm. But he got hit. Like and me and Joe are cool now. We laugh about shit now. The same thing with Raekwon. Wish him a happy birthday every year. We everything is over with. So like, when he got hit, like you get hit. So if you get hit, your first reaction is to probably try to hit him back. But his response was he didn't swing back. He didn't swing back because he was in the room with me, and he felt like I wouldn't have fought.
Yeah, y'all were cool, but like this is not being in a situation with the homies that got your back.
Right.
And this is an idol.
Yo, nobody's
that's a whole
that either.
This is an idol. This is not like, oh, two dudes 2 blocks over. This is I've grown up watching this dude. And this is like let's be for real. This is like your dad slapping you in the face, and you're just like,
it's like, wait, what?
What just happened?
Right.
And you got to process that before you process what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people really didn't understand that aspect of it. They didn't get that. I bought the purple tape. I bought the very first tape that I ever purchased was Enter the 36 Chambers. That was the very first hip hop tape I've ever purchased, ever. So it's like, come on, like that on top of the fact that he didn't do anything, and he wasn't gonna. Even if there was somebody else in the room that might have been tough that was in there with him, I still don't think Joe would have done anything. I just don't think he would have done anything. Mm-hmm. And that's not a knock to him, but it's more so it was 6 football player size niggas in there. Like that's just what it was. And we were outnumbered 6-3. And as much as people like to front online and say, I would have fought, I would have done, no, you would not have fought, bro. That's just not realistic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and for me, I still get heat for that to this day. Actually the anniversary of that is coming up in August. So August 9th.
Damn, you got a date?
That's crazy.
Because it happens every year. Every year on August 9th. My Twitter mentions go crazy.
Thank you, because now I know when to post this clip.
Today is the day that Joe Budden got punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to deal with that every year.